Westbrook signed a big extension with the Thunder to remain in Oklahoma City. He's not only getting high praise from Thunder fans, but from the GOAT as well. Michael Jordan recently compared Westbrook to himself. During a video played at a Jordan brand event in Las Vegas, MJ had this to say: 30 years ago, that's me. The attitude, trying to prove myself, showing so much passion for the game of basketball. You see it in his play. You can tell he loves the game. He plays with energy and flair. And it's important to note that Westbrook is part of the Jordan brand. But start with you here, Stephen A. What do you make of MJ's comments?
They're legit in some respects, illegitimate in others. In terms of competitive fervor, an assassin's mentality, being as ruthless as he has been, I definitely think it's apropos. I have seen Michael Jordan terrorize players off the court as well as on the court. I've seen him antagonize dudes off the court. There are things that he did that I cannot repeat. I saw them with my own two eyes, and he would do it just to get a player so riled up and so hell-bent on destroying him. He wanted this guy at his best. He did not want him lax. He did not want him taken for granted. He did not want him in awe of Michael Jordan. He wanted the guys at their best so they could come at him. Then he would destroy them. That is how Michael Jordan was the greatest. That is why he annihilated you. He didn't want to exploit your weakness. He wanted you at prime condition, at peak condition. He wanted you at your absolute best. So when he destroyed you, he was putting you on notice that you had no prayer in order to deal with him. He was the most ruthless competitor that I had seen. And what I have religiously said about Russell Westbrook is he is the most ruthless competitor that I see in the NBA today. Here's where the comparisons go off the rails. Michael Jordan, it's not the 30 points per game that he averaged to Russell's 21, all right, because Michael Jordan was the star, whereas Kevin Durant was the star in OKC. It's not even the 49% from the field that he shoots compared to Russell Westbrook's 43%. Where it really illuminates is that for the last 9 years of Michael Jordan's career, he never averaged more than 2.7 turnovers per game. Russell Westbrook has averaged over 4 turnovers the last 2 years and has a career 3.7 turnovers per game average. Why is that relevant? It speaks to the erratic play that Russell Westbrook puts forth. That assassin's mentality, that killer instinct, along with him being the most athletic point guard in the history of the game has ever seen. The flip side to it is that those very things that we laud and applaud and praise for Russell Westbrook are the very things we could also point to that has led to him or his team's demise in key pivotal moments, a la Game 6 of the conference finals, where he and Kevin Durant combined for 6 turnovers in the last 8 possessions, including, 0 for 3 with 6 turnovers in the last 2 minutes. Russell Westbrook was right there in the throes of that, even though I look at Kevin Durant too, because that's Russell Westbrook, whereas Kevin Durant wasn't himself in those key pivotal moments when palms get sweaty. But in the end, what it comes down to is that Russell Westbrook is a superstar. He is a superstar competitor. He is the most elite athlete we've ever seen at the point guard position. But the level of erratic behavior he displays on the basketball court has never been MJ. That's the difference. I don't think MJ was talking about that when he was talking about Russell Westbrook. He was talking about the things they have in common. He's accurate about that, but that ain't the complete story. This is.
I love this. I love this. Game recognized game. Real recognized real. That's what's going on here. Michael Jordan looks at Russell Westbrook, and the sloppiness sometimes that you're talking about comes from that insane competitive drive. This is why I told you, like, Russell Westbrook's my favorite player. I'm not saying he's the best, but he's my favorite to watch because of that ruthless, competitive. The sloppiness comes from his reach exceeding his grasp. He wants it so bad. He's pushing himself you mentioned he's the most athletic point guard ever. That's right. And yet he's pushing his limits even farther than he's capable of going. That's where the sloppiness comes in. Now, look, he's not as good as Michael Jordan. If that's what we're talking about, no. No one's ever been as good as Michael Jordan. I hope one day to live long enough to see a guy as good or better than Michael Jordan, because it's an amazing thing to see, and that's not Russell Westbrook. But in another way, Westbrook is the direct descendant of Jordan in the sense that it went from Jordan to Kobe. Kobe's kind of like son of Jordan in the NBA. And Westbrook is like if Allen Iverson and Kobe Bryant had a baby. It'd be Russell Westbrook. You know, if you watched Allen Iverson at his best, I used to think, if Allen Iverson were 6'6", that's the greatest player ever. I don't care whatever other problems he has. If he was 6'6", who could handle that? But he wasn't. Just wasn't. Westbrook is what's stopping him from being the best player in the game. He's a little short. I mean, that's really what it is. That's why he's a point guard. If he was 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", like LeBron James, we wouldn't even be having a conversation right now. But he's smaller, and so he's confined to a certain position on the court that makes it a little difficult to actually do what he does best. He is a beast. He's, I mentioned it the other day when you talked about Durant better than Westbrook. You and I agree about that. However, there are veteran observers, including analytics guys who work for ESPN, who will tell you that there was a stretch of about a year, yes, partly due to Durant's absence and his injury, but even after Durant got back, where the numbers said, boy, it's like a dead heat. You could even argue for Westbrook, and it should never be that way. Durant's 7 feet tall. Durant's a better shooter. Durant's a less selfish player. Durant's not as out of control as Westbrook. And yet that competitive drive in Westbrook forces him into that kind of conversation. One thing about Jordan saying this, of course, he's a Jordan brand athlete, right? Yep. So who else does Jordan have on that level? Carmelo, CP3, Westbrook's the guy you want there. But then you ask yourself, Jordan really has his pick of a lot of athletes. Why does he want Westbrook repping Jordan brand? Well, because of that thing that he's identifying.
It's interesting that you brought up Allen Iverson. I was just with him this weekend in Philadelphia. Russell, he reminded me that Russell Westbrook is his favorite player. He also promised me that he's going to wear a suit for the Hall of Fame. I'm holding you to that. That's a different subject for another day. I'm holding you to that, Bubba Chuck. I'm holding you to that. Having said all of that, let's be clear. When you talk about Russell Westbrook and you think about MJ, I will go as far as to say this. If Russell Westbrook figures it out to the point where he's capable of elevating his team to a championship sometime in the near future, if there is a player who could emulate Michael Jordan in terms of his will to win and his refusal to be denied, it's Russell Westbrook. He is the guy that if he were a champion, meaning the parts around him was good enough and it's really about him, and he figured out how to get one, he's the kind of guy that ain't letting it go. God's going to have to take it away from him. He's that type of dude. That's how vicious he is as a competitor. You don't see that in anybody else. Listen, LeBron James is the greatest player in the world. There's nothing to talk about there. And he's proven himself yet again. But there's 4 NBA Finals losses for a reason. The great Kobe Bryant, and God was he great, okay, still lost 2 and got annihilated against Detroit. But that was him and Shaq in the friction more so. But then that 39-point loss in Game 6 of the NBA Finals in Boston, that ain't something that ever happened to Jordan. That's not something that I could see ever happening to Russell Westbrook once he figures it out. I know that Miami ran him out the building in that Game 5 against OKC when LeBron won his first title. But I'm talking about if Russell Westbrook ever got to that point where he figured it out and he was a champion. Talk about holding on to what you have. Russell Westbrook is the kind of guy that you're going to have to damn near kill him to take it away from him.
A lot of people ask me, you know, of all what other, in a given sport like the NBA, like basketball, who would make a good prize fighter? Like, who could you see? In the NBA right now, Russell Westbrook is a prize fighter dressed up as a basketball player.
That's a good analogy.
Same thing as Kobe Bryant, same thing as Michael Jordan. He's a prize fighter.
And the only negative is sometimes it gets the best of him, that passion.
Exactly. He's also that prized fighter. You know who he would be as a prize fighter? Can I go use a boxing analogy?
Go.
Aaron Pryor.
Oh, Oh, my man, the Hawk.
Aaron Pryor.
Yeah.
That's who Russell Westbrook would be. If he were a boxer, Aaron Pryor. Like, you getting hit, and it's like, what you doing? What the hell's the matter with you?
Yeah.
Don't take those punches. But somehow he just keeps coming, and ultimately he closes.
No one wanted it with Aaron Pryor.
Nobody wanted it. Alexis Aguero, he didn't want it either.
No. Sugar Ray didn't really want to fight him.
That's
We'll leave it there. When we come back to the NFL, Tony Dungy is enshrined into Canton at the Hall of Fame. But did he deserve it? Our thoughts on Dungy in the gold jacket. That is next.
'Cause we gon' blow your mind.